Welcome to my channel, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. So in this video we are going to be drafting this beautiful jacket. So if you're interested in learning this, then kindly keep on watching. So in this video I'm going to be starting with the back bodies first. Okay, so that line is the beginning of my pattern paper, so I'll be starting on my measurements from there. So right now what I'm marking out is shoulder to my bust point measurement. All right, so I'm just marking that across the pattern paper, and then I proceeded to mark out shoulder to the waist measurement. Okay, and then right after that I'm going to mark out shoulder to the hip measurement. All right, and then right after that I'm going to mark out the full length. So simply go right ahead and mark out all your measurements on your pattern paper like so. All right, and then I'm going to be connecting everything with my ruler. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, guys, and kindly subscribe to my channel. Feel free to share it as well so others can get to see it. Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. So now I'm labeling the pattern, as you can see, all done now. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is to start drafting the main bodies. Okay, so right now I'm measuring out the shoulder measurement. So I've divided my shoulder measurement into two, and then I made a mark right there. I came down by 1 inch. All right, and then I connected from that 1 inch to the edge of my pattern paper. Remember, we are drafting the back bodies right now, guys, and there's no zipper allowance. Okay, please bear that in mind. There is no zipper allowance. So right now what I'm marking is the chest line. I moved up from the bust points by 2 inches to get my chest line, and then I proceeded to mark it out and then label it as well. So let's move on. What I'm going to be doing now is to measure out my neck. Okay, so for these measurements I used 2.5 inches for the neck width, and then I came down by 1 inch for the neck depth. Remember, we are drafting the back bodies right now. Okay, so I used 2.5 by 1 inch. So moving on, I'm going to be marking out my dart line. Okay, so I'm using my bust points divided by 2. So in this case I have 4 inches, so I marked it out right from the chest line all the way to the full length measurement. Okay, so go right ahead and mark out your own bust line, and then I connected with my ruler right from the full length to the chest line. Okay, so simply go right ahead and do the same thing on your pattern paper. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, guys. So now that is done, the next thing that I'm going to be doing now is to get my dart legs. All right, so right on the waistline I'm going to be marking out 0.5 on both sides of the dart line that we made earlier. All right, and then I'm going to be connecting this to the chest line as well as to the hip line. Okay, so do the same thing to get your dart legs on your pattern paper. All right, so right after that, the next thing that I'm going to be doing at this point is to connect my shoulder line. Okay, so I'll be connecting it to the chest line. All right, so I simply drew out the line that I have and connected it to the shoulder, to the chest line, sorry, and then I'll go right ahead to take my body measurements now. Okay, so just take note that after taking the body measurements I connected the curve. All right, so I'm going to be taking the remaining measurements now. Take note that I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance to all the measurement that I took. Okay, the measurements for the bust, the waist, okay, and then the hip, I added 1.5 inches allowance, and then what I got, my measurements at the hip line is what I'm going to be extending all the way to the full length. Okay, I hope you understand that. So whatever measurements you get on the hip line is what you are going to extend all the way to your full length measurements. Go right ahead and do the same thing. Okay, so I connected everything with my ruler. All right, so go right ahead and do the same thing. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and kindly subscribe to my channel, guys. All right, thank you so much. So connect all your measurements just like I'm doing at this point. So right now the drafting is done. We are going to be doing a little bit of alteration on the waist part. Okay, so on the waist part I marked out 0.5 inch. Okay, and then I connected right to the hip line, and then the other side I connected back to the neck part. Okay, so the essence of this is to make the back lay really flat. Okay, we want a little bit of snatch at the back of the jacket. All right, so with this we are done with the pattern for the back bodies, and then I will go right ahead to cut it out. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and kindly subscribe to my channel. Okay, so for the dart line we are going to be extending it to our shoulder line in a bit. Now let's move on to the front pattern. Okay, and as you can see I have an extra space of about 4 inches right in front. Okay, we have a need for that for our collar. All right, so just go right ahead and leave out about 4 inches like I just did, and then we'll proceed to take our normal body measurements. All right, so I'm marking out the shoulder now at this point. Okay, and then I connected the slants back to the edge, and then I proceeded to mark out the armhole measurements. Okay, that's what I'm marking out right now. All right, so simply go right ahead and do the same thing on your pattern paper. So now I'll proceed to mark out all my measurements, which is the bust point, the waistline, okay, the under bust, the hip measurement. Okay, so I'm trying to extend these lines across my pattern paper like so. All right, so I will be connecting with my ruler. Simply go right ahead and mark out all your measurements at this point. Okay, then I'll go right ahead to mark out the hip line as well as the full length of this jacket. Okay, so you can use whatever length you want. All right, so I'll go right ahead to connect with my ruler, and then I will label all my points. Okay, so the next thing to do now is to shape out the armhole. So I divided it into 2, and then right on that spot I marked out 0.5, and then I'll connect all my lines with the curve. Go right ahead and we are basically doing the basic bodice pattern right now. Okay, so the next thing to do is to mark out the dart line. Okay, so I'm dividing my nipple to nipple measurement into 2, which is 4 inches. So I went ahead to connect all my lines. All right, so the next thing to do, of course, is to mark out the dart legs, which is what I'm doing at this point. I took out 0.5 on both sides, on the under bust line and the waistline. Okay, so I'm connecting to the hip line now, and then I'll be connecting the other one to the bust line. All right, so simply go right ahead and do that on your pattern paper. Now that we are done with that, I'm marking out my body measurement, and remember I added 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Okay, so just go right ahead and mark out all your measurements on this part, the bust, the waist, and the hip measurements. Okay, and then I added 1.5 inches. All right, so remember that whatever measurement you get for your hip line is what will be taken down, or you can just reduce it by about 1 or 2 inches at the edge. All right, so my front pattern is almost ready. The next thing to do now is to mark out the neck measurement. Okay, so I marked out 2.5 inches for the width, and then I came down by 3 inches. Okay, so that's for the neck measurement. So right now we are done with the basic body parts. The next thing to do now is to work on our jacket proper. Okay, so we are going to be determining our break points, which is the part where you want the collar to stop. Okay, so I'll be working with the waistline. Now if you are working with buttons for your jacket, you are going to be marking out 1 inch out. Okay, but I'm not going to be using a jacket, I'm using a fastener, so I use 0.5. okay, so I marked out right from the waistline. You're going to mark that down all the way to the full length. Okay, and then you connect everything. back. Remember, if you are using buttons for your jacket, then you are going to be marking 1 inch, okay, but I'm working with 0.5 at this point. All right, so simply go right ahead and connect all the lines all the way from the waist to the full length. All right, so which is what I'm doing now. So now that we are done with that part, the next thing to do is to move to the collar part. So we are going to be extending the neck depth line. Okay, so I extended by 3.5 inches. So depending on how wide you want your collar to be, you are going to extend it as such. So now that I've gotten my measurement, the next thing to do is to connect it back to the break points that we marked out earlier. So we are going to connect the tip of that line, of that jack collar line, to the break point. Okay, so which means the initial line is no longer needed, and this is what we have now for our collar. All right, so now for the alteration for the lower part of the jacket, if you want it to remain straight, you leave it like that. But if you want a kind of slant design at the mid part of that lower part of the jacket, then you're going to reduce it a bit. Okay, so I took out 2 inches right now from there, and then I'll be connecting it to the break point. So which means that once I fasten the jacket, then it's going to have a kind of slant at the lower part. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so this part is completely optional. Okay, and then I'm going to take out this line because it is no longer needed. Okay, so with this, the pattern for the jacket is now set, and then the next thing to do, of course, is to cut out what we have. All right, so simply go right ahead and cut out your pattern at this point. Okay, so go right ahead and cut out your pattern. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and kindly give this video a thumbs up so others can get to see it. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So go right ahead and mark out your pattern. Now what we are going to do now is to extend our dart line. So if you are using the shoulder dart, which I'm going to be using, that means your shoulder part is going to be divided into 2 equal halves. Okay, so simply go right ahead to mark the midpoint of that shoulder slant, and then you connect your dart legs to it. All right, and if you want to use the princess dart, then feel free to connect to your armhole instead. Okay, so whatever you choose to do here totally depends on you. So after connecting your dart line, then you proceed to cut out your pattern. All right, so this is what I have now, and then you can see what the collar is going to look like once it is done and you're ready to wear it. Okay, so this is what I have now. You can see how beautiful it is looking. Okay, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and kindly subscribe to my channel. So after this, we'll proceed to the sleeve part. Okay, so I have a pattern on how to cut a basic sleeve on my channel. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Okay, so simply go right ahead to cut out your sleeve. Now you can use whether short, long, or 3/4 sleeve. That depends on you. Okay, and with this, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you're interested in seeing the sewing of this jacket, I have the video up on my channel already. Thank you so much, guys. See you some other time.